Hello! Today, in this clip, I'm going to show you how to make a roll top dry bag. Very useful for keeping equipment dry, hence the name. Now, they're really simple to make. This one took me about 10 minutes and it costs less than the price of a Starbucks coffee. That internationally renowned method of measuring how cheap something can be made. Now, the equipment you need for this, very simple. Really basic stuff that I'm sure you've all got at home or could easily get hold of. You're going to need a pair of scissors. Well, in fact, my mum told me to carry them like this, so I will do. Pen, gaffer tape, bit of webbing, and you need the buckle that matches the webbing, same size for the little slot part there. Cable ties, long ruler, although you would get away with an ordinary tape measure, and a stick of wood, which I'll also need as well, so we need both these at some point. And the final bit you need is this flexible plastic. It can be reclaimed or salvaged from any number of bits of packaging or wherever you find plastic these days, everywhere, in the middle of the ocean even. That I bought, and it's polypropylene, but again, I bought this sheet for a couple of pounds, that's all it was. But the main material for this project is this fabric material here. One brand name for it is Tyvek. There are a number of different ones around. I think this was one called Rhino Ultra. It's a membrane material used in the construction industry. It's what you'll find underneath roof tiles and behind wall cladding on buildings. It stops rain penetrating if it gets through the tiles or the cladding. It stops it penetrating into the building, but also lets vapour and moisture evaporate out through. So it's a very clever material, a bit like that Gore-Tex material used in outdoor pursuits clothing. It is in fact used for clothing as well. It can be used for a number of different disposable things like overalls. In fact, the police were in my back garden the other day, digging, looking for something. I've no idea what they were looking for, but they were all wearing these white overalls. Anyway, what we're going to do is cut a square of this fabric out. So I've marked a line, and I'm cutting down the line now carefully. Make sure that you keep things as square as you can by measuring and marking out accurately. I've used my dry bags for a number of different purposes. Storing sleeping bags, lining rucksacks, but if you're on some mission critical situation, like you're going source to sea in the River Ganges, paddling a bathtub, you probably don't want to keep your food in one of these. Now I've cut a piece out here, a panel of the fabric material here, and I've cut it at 800mm by 1000, or 0.8 of a metre by 1 metre here. It usually works for me if I make the bags slightly taller than they are wide when I have the original panel cut out. You'll see why a little bit later on. I've also marked along the bottom here in quarters, and at the top along here clearly marked in quarters. Now you can buy this fabric by the metre on eBay. There are enterprising people who bought large rolls and will sell you it by the metre, and it's around about £1.50 a metre if you buy it from them. It's white on one side and grey on the other. I'm going to work with the white side on the outside. So the next step for me is to turn this over. And then I'm going to fold inwards so that the outside edges will meet up at that line that I put there. Also, there'll be a little black line on the fold point there. Now what I've got together, which you'll see just over here, are some little bits of the gaffer tape cut into tiny pieces there, little stitch pieces, and I put them where I can easily get to them, because the next step for me is, once I've made sure that I'm putting this joint at exactly the right point, is to use one of these tiny pieces like a little stitch just to hold that together there. What also makes the job a little bit easier is to use the bits of wood I had before and that heavy ruler to hold the fabric down flat, so that I can then at the other end do the same. I'm just checking I've got the mark in the right point, spot on, little stitch piece, press it over the join there. Now this isn't the final join, I'm going to go over the top with a much longer piece of the gaffer tape. But there it is, held together in position. That's the piece of tape stuck on the centre there. I'm now going to move the fabric round so that that tape joint is now on an edge. Lift that up here, I put it on a bit of wood just to help me position the piece of tape, which I've pre-cut, and I'm going to position that carefully, line that up, put that on there, turn it over, and very carefully, tricky part this, fold it over and stick down here. And there we have it, trimmed off, the ends there. A bag. Now, the next step, slightly tricky, is you want to return to that position and fold this so that the points are touching like that. You know you got it right at the top because those lines that we put there should be on the edges. Now press this down flat so that it points together at the end like that. Open this up and you're left with a square shape here. And what we're going to do is take this point, fold it to that point there and tape it down, and take this point, fold it to there and tape that in position there. I'm just going to put a little square patch of the tape in the centre to hold that in position there. That's a little piece to hold it in position while I stick across here the pieces of tape that are going to hold the bottom of the bag in position there. And there's another one which I've pre-cut which goes in that direction there. Trimmed it down, little cut there, fold it in that direction there, fold it over there, and that's tidied those corners up. And there we have it. So there we have the bag with its square base all finished now. We just need to deal with the roll top part, the channel that the buckle fits into. I trimmed a bit off the top of my bag. It's easy to trim it off and stick it on. I cut off what looks to me about 150mm to make it the ideal length for me. So I've trimmed off a strip of plastic from one side so that I can fold over this side to make a channel that the buckle strap will fit through. So I'll stick that down there. Just a little tip when you're making this channel that goes over the top of the edge of the bag there, make sure that you can fit the buckle through the channel. I've done this before and it's a snug fit, but it does go through. So if you get yourself two pieces of the webbing here, I've made these 200mm long, 20cm. And here's one I prepared before and threaded through the buckle. Now, when you cut it, it frays very easily. So a nice little trick, just get a lighter and just gently melt the edges on there, and you'll see that that won't fray anymore. On the piece of plastic, I've made some holes at either end. I've used a drill and a block behind, drilling into the block for safety. And I've also used a hot nail, got that hot with a lighter, held it with a pair of pliers and burnt the hole through. That's a very successful way of doing it if you don't have a drill. So the next step is to fix the webbing to this white plastic that I've already cut. Prop riveted this one here. If you've got a pop rivet gun, that's a great way of doing it. But an even simpler way is to just cable tie it on. Now what I need to do is broddle a hole, now you know what a broddler's for, through the two sides of the webbing and the plastic in between, and then just poke the cable tie through the hole, same going back the other way, and zip it up tight. It's that simple. So there we have it, the buckle part done, using cable ties. There's a number of different ways you can do it. Be inventive. Just got to get this bit of webbing fixed to that bit of plastic. Next thing I need to do is thread it through the channel, and that's the job done. So there it is. Another dry bag. Really simple. Cable ties and gaffer tape. Couldn't get simpler than that, could it? So if you've enjoyed watching this, please subscribe. I've got loads more ideas to come. Thanks for watching.